Okay, this is the first show, and thank you for entertaining me here. This is the first show since Cooter's Last Stand event. I cannot tell you how sorry I am that you weren't there. And I don't mean, I'm not trying to rub it in at all. I just, from one fan to another, I left with wanting nothing more.
I am living vicariously through you. Go ahead, regale me.
Okay, so here's the event. I'll just run you top. By the way, everybody, thank you for listening to the show. You can get it on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play. Leave us a rating in iTunes. We've got over 100 so far. It's wonderful. Anyway, Cooter's Last Stand.
It's like, I don't care about that. Let's get that part.
First of all, Corndog, I have learned, is a rock star. He is a big deal. He knows everybody, and they know him. There's a picture I took. So I went 2 days. It was Saturday and Sunday. And the first day, I took my family. So my dad, my kids, everybody. And what had happened the last 2 days or so is it had rained. And I mean poured rain for torrential amounts of water. And this entire event is outside in a field.
So you guys were at Woodstock, basically.
It was nothing but mud. And I mean, we had a little push walker for my dad. We're rolling through all this bad spots. They were bringing in gravel trucks to try to make some sense of some roads. There was going to be a jump, and the car was just going to do it in between like some food stands and a tent. And the only way he could get any traction was to have some gravel to come in. So there, I mean, it was just kind of weather chaos. But when we got there, it stunk bad too. Man, did it stink. What are you trying
to say about Virginia, man?
I don't know if it was the combination of porta potties or if we were on top of a former trash dump or what. It sure looked pretty, but Lord, did it stink.
What was buried under there? They moved the headstones, but they didn't move the graves.
I don't know, but we got there. Corndog was already there, as you might imagine, in the place of honor. And the place of honor, are the two screen use generalies that were sitting up front, right in front of Cooter's place. Everything else is out in the field, and it's arranged nicely, but everything else is out in the field. So he's up there talking to Frank Rip, and Frank Rip owns one of the screen use generalies. Frank's going to come up later here, and he says hello, and he takes us all around, and he spent the whole day with us. Everybody, my dad, wife, kids, everybody. There are so many generalies. There were 100, 120. I don't know how many.
Not to cut to the chase, but did you come home with one?
No, I didn't.
A phone number?
I thought there was going to be a car corral or something. I thought if I wanted to buy one, I would have had to track down an owner and just start making a cash offer. Because every car there seemed to have an owner that loved it and brought it there because they just wanted to share that with the world, but they were going home with it. And the one picture I put out on Instagram, or that maybe my wife did, that was a little deceiving was me standing in front of a white Charger on a trailer.
I know. I thought you were bringing one home.
And I would have brought that one home. And the guy that owned it was dressed like the Bandit. He was walking around. I never met him in person. But that particular one I loved. And the caption I put on there was totally wrong, too. I said, this is my favorite one here. It was the only one there that was a replica of a different Charger used on the show. It was a replica of the one that Cale Yarborough drove. Remember from that episode we did a while back? It was just a white Charger with the turbines on it. He even had the right North Carolina license plates on it. You looked inside, there was a Cale Yarborough helmet and driving suit. It was even automatic on the column. It was the greatest. And I just thought that was cool. So, yeah, most people thought that I had bought that car. And I would buy that car if it were for sale. Maybe it is for sale, but no, I did not leave with a car. But
so you were at a place full of people that were just as big a fan as you and I, and they're there just to hang out. They're not selling those cars. They're not flipping their generalies.
I wouldn't be surprised if some deals happened or if some offers were made, but it sure didn't look like people were there to buy and sell to me. It looked like they were there to be fans.
I can respect that.
Out of the 100, I'm going to say 120 generalies there, not a one of them matched another one. They were all unique. Me and Corndog went around and shot a lot of video. and there's the obvious stuff. So like there's 68 side marker lights and 68 tail lights and 69 side marker lights and 69 tail lights. Then it gets a little more intricate with some of the interior features, different upholstery, this, that, and the other. But then it got to the point where, well, these are 14x7 vectors, original style. These are 14x7s in the new style. This is Hugger orange. This is flame red. This
different
is
CBs.
Yeah, different CB antennas. I mean, it just went on and on and on and on and on. And of the General Lee replicas that were there were so many nice ones. There were so many ratty ones. There was one that was done up like from the Dukes of Hazzard movie, from the old school style generally, and it was like flat orange and just said 01 and kind of cartoon numbers on the side.
Mm-hmm.
There was one of those there. It was I loved them all. There were cop cars there. But the thing that was so interesting is you could look down a row of General Lees and they were all different colors. They were all orange, but they're all different colors. So we went on a quest to figure out what's the real color of the General Lee, because we'd heard flame red from so many people. But the answer is there was Hugger orange, there was flame red, there was Hemi orange. There were so many colors used all the way to the end that it's orange. That's the right answer. It's orange. And they might have mixed those paint colors too. So it might have been half Hugger, half flame, when they shot it. You just never know.
This is great because that means no matter how you build your General Lee, you're not wrong.
It's really not wrong. In fact, I was sitting there waiting for my kids to walk over, and Corndog was already deep in conversation with somebody else who had he was mining information from somebody. And this guy was walking up to different cars, and he had a paint sample booklet in his hand. And he was going to try to figure out which color was which, because he had painted his Charger Hugger orange. And he just wanted to justify to himself that was right. And then we had this very conversation, and he thought it was great. So,
That's cool.
What I'm telling you, like at the end of the day, they did a jump. So at the end of the day, they did a ramp-to-ramp jump. And Jamie Smith, who took you around on 2 wheels, several years ago, he says hello, by the way. He was the guy doing the jump. And he was jumping that Crown Vic that we had talked about. And when you saw it in person, you knew it wasn't a Charger, but it was the best not real Charger in the world. It was so great.
Seriously, for about 6 hours after Cooter's last stand, I had talked to him about the car because it was for sale. And for about 6 hours, I seriously thought about buying it. Mm-hmm. And you talked me out of it. You kind of reaffirmed something I had already thought, was that it was a one-use car. It wasn't a street car. Mm-hmm. Making it a street car was going to be time-consuming and expensive. And in the end, you got a generally basically built for jumping, and it's really not a Charger. It's a Crown Vic. And
it broke my heart to even think that out loud too, because for what it is, it's perfect. But it's a perfect fake. It's a total fake.
It really is, and it's a rad car. The problem with that car is because there's no windows. You need space. You need to keep this thing indoors at all times. It just has door skins. There's no inner shell. There's no windows. Everything's welded shut. And
no headlights. There's no headlight doors. That's all fake. Everything about it is fake.
But and in photos and from 5 feet away, the only giveaway with that car is the windshield area and how the A-pillar isn't an A-pillar. It's the roll cage, which is cool. I liked it. Totally dug it.
Jamie showed me pictures of how he built it, and it was a Crown Vic that had been used in some other Hollywood production. The roof had been destroyed, so he thought, I've always wondered, would this work? So he just cut the panels off, started laying quarter panels on it. Like, I think this is gonna work. So if you're wondering, is the wheelbase and the track width the same? No, but they're pretty darn close, really close. And he did not modify any Charger sheet metal to make it longer or shorter or anything. So when that car did its jump, my God, it was the General Lee flying. And it was a type moment. It was just so great. And I saw it, but the guy that was standing up on top of the ramp with everybody, getting everything coordinated, was Corndog. I'm standing out in the field with my family just trying to get, space, and everybody's pushing us. And I look up on the ramp, and there's a stunt driver, there's somebody else, and there's Corndog out there standing like a superhero with a camera in one hand, and he's getting stuff coordinated. I'm telling you, he's the missing link.
He's the mayor. He's the mayor of Hazard, as far as I'm concerned. He really is. The guy knows everyone and everything. It's impressive.
And he could not have been kinder to my family. Like, he took my kids around and entertained them. and waited for us while we were standing in line for an hour and a half trying to get a pretzel. Yeah, I mean, it just good.
How big was it? How many people do you think were there?
A lot more than I thought they were going to be. Maybe 10,000.
And you say last stand, is this it? No more meetings at Cooter's
Good
place?
question. So that was the big cloud hanging over it, as everybody kind of thought this is it, because Cooter Ben Jones is 75 years old. But and when you see him, I mean, he's usually sitting and he's usually carrying like a cane or something like that, but he can walk. I don't think so. I think there's another one coming.
Man,
so
6 months from now, do another one. People will show up. I'd go.
It may not be there again. I think people were kind of wanting. So in previous Dukes events, it's been at like a stadium like a racetrack or something. Actually,
Fairgrounds or something.
Fairgrounds, something a little more built for people. So we'll see. But when you walked in, you got your tickets, and then there was access to the field. And there were volunteers manning it, and there was one sign that said Uncle Jesse's Rules. This is a family event. No cussing, no drinking, no swearing, no something. There was no bag check. There was nobody looking for guns. There was nobody carrying beer around. If you wanted to go inside, you could just go inside. You just had to have a ticket, and everybody was totally behaved. And this is a Dukes of Hazzard event in the South, so there's people of all shapes, sizes, and colors. And everybody totally got along. It was freaking awesome. At the same time, you're out in a muddy field, it's raining, and it stinks like porta potties. So it was a weird dynamic. I mean, you walk up to, some replica generally that probably had $300,000 in it. Then you'd walk over to some bomb that somebody found and painted orange. There were collectors there selling toys. There was a guy that had special built Lego kits for all the different Hazard vehicles that he had made himself, pre-assembled, he pre-made them and then took them all apart so your kids could make them. There were models of stuff, and models that generally were going for several more dollars than you would think. Like $50, $60, $70 for a normal 1/24 scale. Is that what size they are? And I know they don't make those anymore. In our Hobby Lobby store here in town, you can still get them for a normal price. But there was singing. They had Cooter's garage band singing and doing they had bluegrass people in there the whole time.
I would have dug that.
It was great. The actors that were there to sign autographs. All right. So they all had their individual tents, and most people were there for two reasons. One was to see the cars, and two was to get an autograph. And by far, John Schneider had the line. Everybody had a big line, but he had the line of lines. And he was charging the most too.
Wait, he charged?
They all charge.
You have to pay money to get an autograph?
It's $20 for him to sign something. Another $20 if you need him to give you something to sign, like a picture or something like that.
Oh my God.
It was, and I don't remember the numbers. It was even more money if you wanted him to sign a car part. Like if you walked up with a trunk lid, and people did. They just got there early and were holding their trunk lid like this. Yeah. That's maybe $50, maybe $100. If you want him to come out and sign your car in person, that's $200. Now he was the most expensive, but Tom,
I had no idea.
I didn't either. That part surprised me. I thought it was just fans. I think that's how they get paid for the event. I don't think they get paid to come. I think that's how
you were about to answer my question. Was Wopat there?
He was, but for some reason he was late. This comes in later.
I wonder why he was late, because there was an interesting news report about that guy. How many days after it did that happen? Not that long.
A couple.
Yeah,
he showed up Saturday afternoon. The
Let's
event
just
was
go
already
there.
going.
What the hell? So I don't get to go to this event. I'm bummed out, but I'm stoked for Kibbe and everyone else that got to go there. And I'm at home. I just got home from a roadkill shoot where, ironically, I was in Virginia and still couldn't go to this deal. And I get home, and across the wire comes a news report about Mr. Wopat getting arrested for allegedly putting his hand on a co-star's butt, I think. He's in a musical or something. But the important part here is that allegedly, when he's arrested, he's found with a pretty significant amount of what appeared to be cocaine on him. And he spent the night in jail.
Yes. So this is where it got weird, because you broke the news to me. So after this event, we went to Washington, D.C., and we were in, like, looking at history museums. We saw the Constitution, and then you sent me a text, like, Tom Wopat arrested with cocaine and, you know, hands on woman butt. Like, what? What?
So he must have charged enough money for autographs to go out on the town or something.
He and everybody else was half the price of John Schneider, so I think it was $10. But he was there. Catherine Bach was there. Enos was there. Cletus was there. Sheriff Little was there, and he was in a golf cart and told me to move. And when he talked, it sounded like Sheriff Little said, "Get out of my way now!" And I could not believe it. I can't.
Oh, Sheriff Little yelled at you. That's rad.
Yes. And then who was the other actor? James Best's wife was there, Mrs. Best, and she was an actress in like a couple episodes, at least one. But that was all like the star people, and they would sign autographs from like 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I think Catherine Bach was taking breaks in between. But everybody else was just...
That's a long time.
And it was cool. I can't even fake how cool it was. It was.
Were you starstruck?
It was neat to see that John Schneider is like a big, tall, good-looking dude. It was neat to see that Tom Wopat's still tough-looking. They look like you think they would look as older people, but still in good shape. So that was cool. But by far the coolest thing that happened is we went to go meet an owner of a real General Lee, and there were 17 General Lees left. Now that's not really true. There were a number of General Lees left at the end of the Dukes of Hazzard TV show. In 1991, 17 of the 19 that they had at that time were sold into private hands. Warner Brothers kept the other 2. Those 17 cars were sold privately through a private deal arranged between like the vehicle production coordination manager of Warner Brothers and Wayne Wooten, who ran the Dodge Charger registry. Wayne was there. I've never seen him in person in my life. But Corndog said, "Do you know who that is?" And I said, "No." He said, "That's Wayne Wooten." So I ended up talking to Wayne for a little bit. But of these 17 General Lees, they don't change hands very much. Almost never. I want to say 3 have actually changed hands. And the two real ones that were there had just recently changed hands, like within the last year. So I talked to both guys, and we went all over their car. They're rough. They're beat up. One was the 68 with fake patch panels, in the tail, to put the 69 lenses in. One was the 69 real car. The 69 had just been in the Auto Trader commercial a couple years ago. And it was the one that John and Tom did all of their driving scenes in, or all of their interior scenes.
A real one. Oh.
Yeah, that was their General. So this was kind of the last one they had driven. So, oh God, it was cool. It was in a little nicer shape than the other one. So whoever had it previously, they did kind of a preservation restoration. So they didn't want to make it good, but they also didn't want it to be such a rat box that they couldn't drive it. So the paint, I think the flag was touched up a little bit. The numbers were not. The numbers were hand painted on. They're not symmetrical at all. Like if you cut a number in half and laid it over on top of the other one, it wouldn't match at all. They were a little bit faded. The whole car had been cleared, so it was really shiny. There was kind of rough paint underneath, but it looked neat. The interior was all spray painted tan, and it had a headliner in it. It may not have had a headliner before, but now it had a headliner in it. And that's it. Otherwise, it's just like it was on the day it stopped being a General Lee for a living. So we talked to this guy, and he gave us the full thing. We got some nice footage with him. And you own a real General Lee?
Yes, I do.
Okay, which one is it? This is a real 69, is that right?
This car is a real 1969 Dodge Charger.
Okay, and you don't have to tell me how you acquired it or what you paid for it, but you knew obviously what it was, and you sought it out, I assume?
Yes, I did. I mean, when these cars come up for sale, it's very infrequent. So when the opportunity arises, it's, you have to take it.
Did you build any replicas?
I have never built a replica.
This is your first General Lee?
Well, as a kid, I had multiple General Lees. This is my first this is my first driving General Lee.
Yeah, where do you go from there? You don't. You're already topped out. So kind of walk me nose to tail. Is it a 383 car? It's an automatic on the column, I see.
Yeah, so this is a 383 car. It is an automatic on the column. It has the buddy seat, so it doesn't have buckets in the console because of the automatic on the column.
This was in the Auto Trader commercial, right?
This car was a hero car in the Auto Trader commercial.
So, walk me through that. So that means John and Tom drove around on this car, if I remember some of the pictures right. Were you there?
I was not there. That was prior to me purchasing the car.
Okay. Well, is it as it was in 1991? Has it been painted? The numbers? I mean, look at the numbers. They're not even symmetrical. If you cut those things in half and laid them over, they wouldn't fit. I mean, it's... Are people surprised when they see it and say, hey, this thing's perfect?
A little bit. I mean, I'd say the car has been preserved, as a collector car. But if you look at it, you can see that the numbers are crooked. Those numbers probably don't match the driver's side numbers. But it's had a little bit of work done to it, but it's been preserved very well.
Does it run and drive fine? Do you use it?
I use this car, I wouldn't say daily, but we use this car. I take the kids to school. I take the kids to football practice. The kids jump in and out of the windows. Their friends jump in and out of the windows. It's a car. It's meant to be used. It's meant for everybody to out there enjoy it.
We said, hey, can we come back later? And he said, why don't you guys come back and we'll go for a ride. We'll shoot some video going up and down the road. We said, are you serious? And he goes, yeah. And maybe Corndog set that up. I don't know. It was a dream I had, but when we came back, he said, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. So Andy was going to get in the back, but Andy's a big guy. I mean, like football player, linebacker big. He just could not fit in the back. Why? Because of the roll bar. The roll bar was in it, and it was functional,
right.
Functional-ish. So Corndog ended up getting in back and kind of shooting with an iPhone from the back, and then we had a GoPro on the windshield, and then we went and did a little drive, and then we'd stop, and we'd move the GoPro somewhere else, then we'd drive some more. And then we stopped to move it for the final time, and I was putting it on the driver's door. And Frank said, you like where the camera is? And I said, yeah, it looks pretty good. And he goes, okay, why don't you go ahead and drive us back? And
wow, you get to drive a real screen use generally.
I asked him 3 times, like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And he goes, yep. And then I stopped asking because I didn't want to blow it. You're like, I'm in. Yep, I want to drive it.
Did you yell, yeehaw? At any point?
I think I said, dear God, thank you. Something like that. I didn't. I was just so excited to do it. He let me go in and out of the windows. It was so freaking sweet. So this was a real 69 Charger. It was a 383 automatic on the column. I put it in drive. I turned right, and I floored it. Mike, you should have come. I now don't feel bad for you at all because I'm driving the General Lee. All right, ready?
Let's go.
Oh my God. This is everything I ever dreamed. Which way do we go? This way?
I think we just go up there, kind of loop around up there.
And it was great. I maybe drove it for 3 minutes, but we figured out after the fact I did go over a river twice, once this way and once coming back. So I have crossed a river in the General Lee. I'm going to count that as 2 jumps.
There you go.
It's just an old Mopar, man. It drives. My brother-in-law has a '69, satellite wagon. It kind of drives like that, but it's the General Lee. It was just so great. When I got out, I'm embarrassed to say it, my hands were shaking. I was just, it was just the coolest thing. So we have lots of footage of that, and then later from the next jump that day, we got footage of that with the drone I brought down then, and that ended up being really cool. But dude, it was great. It would have only been better if you were there. You would have loved it. So I do think there will be another event. We'll just have to make sure there's a way to do that. Thus, Mike, concludes the biggest event you missed in your life of the Dukes of Hazzard.
2 days worth.
2 days of Dukes flying stuff, driving a General Lee. It was amazing, but it was probably closed out best by a great jump. So.
Lifelong dream.
Yeah, lifelong dream. And thank you to Lethal Shutter Productions for showing up with all their crew and shooting all this stuff for us so that we can bring it to you.
Dudes, Kibbe and Finnegan show now has its own t-shirt, and it's awesome. Can't wait to wear this. What do you think, Kibbe?
What's it about? Does it feature a show logo and a car jumping?
Yes, it does. And it's a very recognizable car. Can't say what it is because we don't want to get sued, but you'll know what it is when you buy the shirt.
You might say it's a car.
I'm making general statements here. Yes, I am. But I'm not going to lead you any place you don't want to go.
No. Or assemble those in a full sentence. If you go to kfshowshirts.com, I'll bet you could even find this generally nice shirt that leads people down the path of greatness.
Yes.
Yes.
And hang time.
Amen.
Yeehaw! Buy our shirt.
Amen. Bye-bye.